Sunday!
Happy Sunday. Happy Easter.
Easter Sunday.
If that's what you participate in.
Yep.
I'm Hob.
I'm Jamie.
And this is Dutch and Dragons.
Woo!
And this is episode... I think we're on episode 7 now.
Are we? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think we're on episode 7.
I just show up to read the questions.
This is episode number 7 of the really silly, unedited YouTube show where we pull questions out of the pink box and answer them. Predominantly about Dungeons and Dragons, but about role-playing games in general.
We should get like a dice bag for the questions.
A dice bag?
Mm-hmm. A big one.
We could always go with a Crown Royal bag.
Those
were like the dice bags of
yore. The dice bags of yours.
So today's first question is...
Theater of the Mind, or maps, tokens, and minis?
Good question. You want to take the first shot?
Both. I kind of do both. It really depends on the group, too. Like, there are some groups who can really do theater of the mind, and it's not a problem for them, and they are really engaged. And then there are some groups who just can't do it.
Ride the struggle bus.
Yeah, they ride the struggle bus. I think maps and tokens are always nice for combat. I mean, even if you're not doing crazy layouts and miniatures and all of that stuff, just kind of here's where the bad guys are, and here's where you are, go.
Oh, that's great.
So I think that's kind of helpful, especially when you're in combat. But I don't know. I think both, or either.
Yeah.
I'm not a firm believer on either one. So.
I agree. I like Theater of the Mind simply because it requires almost no setup. As long as you're descriptive and your players are able to visualize what you're working with, go Theater of the Mind.
And that's really the thing of it, is what the players are able to...
It really is. It's all about what the players are able to accommodate, what their preference is. We have a group of players that we started using a virtual tabletop and maps to display on a screen for them, and they love it. They think it's the greatest thing ever. And so we do that.
Especially, but we don't do that for every little thing. Like, sometimes what I'll do is I'll put up, like, inspiration photos, like, oh, you entered a village, and here's a picture of what it might look like. Some things like that are kind of helpful to kind of set the mood and get everyone into playing. But I don't put up maps for, like, now you're going to walk around this village.
Right. Okay.
Next question.
Next question.
Woo! Is combat the only way to resolve encounters with monsters, or hostile races?
Monster races.
Monster races.
No. But... no.
I mean, that's often what happens.
That is often what happens. And that can be very, very dependent on your group. It is not uncommon to see groups of players who focus primarily on combat encounters when they encounter any other any race that is considered a monster or enemy race. They go straight for combat.
Our group, for a long time, that was like their thing. Like, they saw it, they thought it was going to hurt them, hurt it first. Like, that was their MO. They were going to shoot first, ask questions if it survived. And then we got another player in, and she was way more of an experienced MMO, fantasy roleplay kind of player. And she was like, wait, don't we need to, like, non-lethal blows? Question it? Ask it questions? Bring it in? Do we have to kill it? Can we just trick it? And, like, it was such an interesting thing to see because she completely shifted the dynamic of how the group was like, oh, wait, maybe it might be smart to ask it questions or to interrogate it or to try and take it captive. And it was, like, game-changing.
Different play styles will encourage different types of encounters.
Yes.
And that is
good.
really the truth of it. And that's good. You want different types of encounters. I try to be prepared for both eventualities. My players could try to talk to the potentially hostile encounter, or they could just go in guns blazing. And sometimes it depends on their mood that day.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they've had, like, a week and all they really want to do is go in and murder everything. So
True story. All right, cool. So, next question. We're going to tear through a few today, apparently.
Yeah, we are. That's not bad, though. What is something that has improved in your life because of role-playing games? Oh, that's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question. You want to go?
I don't know. Well, obviously, there's a nice social aspect. Our gaming group often does things that aren't gaming, like we go out to dinner and we go to each other's weird plays and school things for colleges and stuff like that. So there's always that nice kind of you're not just building a gaming group, and a lot of times you're also building sort of a community around you, or as a social network.
A group of social friends.
Yeah, like that we're all quite close. I mean, which is always kind of nice. It also gives you like practice with. This is going to sound really weird, but I have a player who's very timid, and she says that role playing has often helped her be less timid in her real life. Like standing up to the fake monsters in the game actually helps her be a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? Assertive. Assertive, that's the word I'm looking for in her real life. So, yeah, I think there's all sorts of benefits to it.
There are. Depending on your role in a game, I've seen improvement in my organizational skills. I have seen improvement in my math skills, on-the-fly math skills, which is really kind of funny, because sometimes you gotta do numbers really, really quick. I have to say that the most prominent area, though, from all the years that I've played, all the way back to when I was, I think I was 13 when I first started playing, is confidence. The ability to interact with people socially has been a huge thing for me. It's helped me to break out of some of the behaviors that I had when I was 13 that caused me to struggle to interact with people. So, yeah.
Ready for the next one?
Good times.
As the DM, am I responsible for making sure the PCs have a reason to stay together? Ish?
No.
Ish? I would say ish.
I say no. Why do you say ish?
Well, I mean, so you don't want to throw things at them that will purposely separate the party. You know, like if I have a halfling who has a backstory, and I put their village in danger, and I have somebody else that's got a brother that gets kidnapped, and I try to do that at the same time, inevitably you're going to separate your party. I try not to put things there that will purposely separate them. Sometimes it happens.
Oh, see, you're talking about splitting the party. I'm talking about I'm thinking of it more from the viewpoint of a PC's purpose for being with the party.
No, I get that. And no, well, but that's why I say ish. Like, you don't want to give them reasons not to be together.
So see, and my thinking here is I'm thinking about this question more in the tone of...
Oh, no, I get what you're saying. Is personal motivation to be adventuring with this group of people.
Personal motivations to be adventuring with this group of people. No. You don't want to give the party a reason not to be together, but sometimes the world does things at the same time.
Oh, I understand that. But, so I think, like, why is this character that you have created with this party? Why are they adventuring? Is it for money? Is it for glory? Is it for maybe someone did kidnap your brother and kill them when they were little, and you've been looking for this person for the last 20 years of your life, and you think that maybe by adventuring you'll run into them? Any of those reasons, those personal internal reasons, should be player driven. The players should come up with the reasons to be there.
Yes.
But knowing what your players' drives are, you as the DM shouldn't... Like, I believe that some player conflict is good. It's fine.
Yep.
But you shouldn't introduce so many elements into your story to cause so much conflict that it no longer makes sense for them to be together.
Okay.
Because you're just going to create problems with your story.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I say ish.
Okay. I can agree with that.
Yeah. You want to add anything to that?
Nope. I think you covered it.
Okay. Next question. What is your favorite RPG?
Mine, Cyberpunk.
I'm kind of the same way. I love Ultramodern. The D&D 5e Ultramodern setting. I do. I really like that. It's a lot of fun.
There you go.
Yeah. So that one was easy. We both have the same.
That one's fast.
Mine
is specifically the Cyberpunk setting.
Yeah. I just like Ultramodern. Yeah. How do you deal with a player that is having an unlucky streak? Okay, we kind of talked about this on our last video a little bit.
Yeah, we did a little bit.
But we can talk a little bit more about it.
So, unlucky streaks
happen. They happen, and they suck.
Quote, unlucky streaks happen. Oftentimes it's bad dice. Mm-hmm. With the acrylic dice, sometimes in the manufacturing process there are bubbles in them. And so a set of dice that is not translucent can sometimes have bubbles in places that cause dice not to roll very effectively. Mm-hmm. It impedes their ability to meet that 5% curve, right? Because every number has a 5% chance of appearing on a d20. So because of that, sometimes you just got to get them to change dice.
Yep. Now we're going to grab our coffee.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
Anything on the agenda for the day?
Nope. It's an important thing to do.
What?
It's an important thing to do.
I'm so sorry.
It is an important thing to do.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
I appreciate you taking the extra time. That's that triple shot caramelized with coconut.
Cool.
And then we're doing the German chocolate. I'm sorry. This is the German chocolate.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Have a good day.
That's bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye. All right. You are clear on the right side, and you are clear around the dumpster.
Cool.
It's a wonderful place of blind spots to pull out.
It is a wonderful place of blind spots.
It is so many blind spots. Unlucky players.
Unlucky players.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the solutions to the unlucky player is actually
just have them change out their dice.
Change dice. And oftentimes I will hand them a set of metal dice.
Or we have a set of clear dice that we have put in water and made sure there are no bubbles.
Yeah, a set of translucent dice that we've checked for doubles. That we've checked for bubbles.
That we've checked, yeah.
Metal dice are fantastic. The manufacturing, the casting process for metal dice often, because the weight of the metal is more consistent when it settles, you tend to have less air bubbles in them, and less impact of those air bubbles because metal heavier than air.
Imperfections.
So yeah, I feel like taking the dice out of the equation, and if they're still continuing to have a really bad night, sometimes it's better just to end a session early.
Well, I mean, if everyone else is having fun and I just have one unlucky player, sometimes I won't. I'll just be like, you know what? You just need a little magic in your life, and I will let them do things like re-roll some rolls, because if it's just chronic that night.
And you can also hand out inspiration,
and you can also
which allows them to re-roll within the game mechanics.
Sometimes it's just you get bad nights. I get bad nights, and then, like I talked about in the last one, I also try to make even the bad rolls a little fun. And I have been known to, if my players are just having chronic bad nights, to do things like, oh, I rolled a 1. Well, you do trip and fall prone, but on the plus side, your sword skitters across and does, X amount of damage to the thing's ankles.
Yeah.
I will put some stuff in there for that, just because I want to keep it fun. And even if you're rolling horribly, but the DM takes it upon themselves to make those horrible rolls a little bit better, and you keep your group having fun, I don't think the bad luck is necessarily the end of the world. I mean, with me, with us, it's the rule of fun. So as long as I can keep it fun, I just keep going.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we have time for one more? Oh, yeah, we do.
We've got time for a couple more,
yeah,
maybe.
time for a couple more.
Depends on what comes out of the box.
Yeah, okay. How do you keep your game moving without railroading your players? Ooh.
Oh, man.
That's a hard one.
That is really, really hard. So, railroading is sort of a dirty word in role playing.
It really is.
And we'll address what railroading is at some point in time.
Well,
I'm sure.
Really quick.
No, it's a question in the box.
All right, well, but
so putting your game on rails can be good and bad.
give them a real quick definition if they don't know what that means.
So railroading is basically taking and sticking your party on a plot train.
And not letting them leave the plot train.
And not letting them get off of the plot train. So basically...
By hook or by crook, damn it.
Yeah, by hook or crook, they are going the direction you want them to no matter what. And that can be good, it can be bad, but the short, long answer to this whole question is never take away player agency. And what that means is that you have to give them enough options in a situation that they can make a decision that moves the story forward without overloading them. So generally I stick to the rule of 3. I try to give them 3 options that are available for them to choose from, and whatever they pick will determine which direction the story goes. I also always try and have 3 sources of information that will move the plot forward. Now, they may receive the information in a different way from each of those sources. Like, for example, if they encounter a child who happened to see something that they need to know, the child is going to deliver that information completely differently from the barkeep who saw the same thing.
True.
So it's all about making sure that there are enough choices to move the story forward without so many that you get bogged down in the decision cycle. Everybody arguing about which direction they're going. And I try to keep the choices... I try to give the information to more than one person at the table as well, because players are notorious information hoarders. A lot of times they don't share what they found out.
Don't think that what they found out is important because they don't have all the other information that everyone has at the table.
And keeping metagaming aside, most of the time our players are pretty good about
sharing,
about not using their player information as their character, but sharing as their character. And because they've learned the lesson that sometimes, they get spanked in game if they don't share information with each other. It often goes poorly.
Sometimes you can get a game that gets so far afield that you don't even know how you're going to get them back to the main storyline. Like, I have seen this happen. It has happened.
It's the too many choices situation.
Well, and I think you've got 3 options when that happens, when you're just go so far afield. One is out of game. This is my least favorite one, but it's viable. It's out of game. Be like, okay, guys, so we have gone so far away from the main storyline. And maybe sometimes it's because the main storyline isn't the interesting storyline. Surprisingly enough, one of the questions I ask them is, are you not interested in these hints and clues and things that I'm dropping about the main storyline? Are you not interested? Because if their answer is, we'll get to it, but this is way more fun, then I'm going to change my game right then, right there. and be like, okay, well, if the main storyline's not what they're interested in and they don't want to play it, then that's a problem on my end, not theirs.
Now, that doesn't mean that the events of the main storyline have to stop either.
No.
So you can carry those through to their logical conclusion and have the consequences of the players dropping that storyline impact the world.
Yeah, but you can do it out of game. Just be like, hey guys,
behind the scenes.
You're way off field. In the game, you can do what I call the all roads lead to Oceanside. Basically, like, every choice they make is going to circle them back to that main storyline.
And that's sort of
it's kind of a railroady
somewhat
tactic.
Railroad tactic.
It is, but if they get so far afield that I'm like, how am I ever going to get them back? It's just all roads circle back onto itself.
Yeah, sometimes you have to.
Which is, it's somewhat railroady, but you get them back on track. The third option is to wait it out, man. Like, just let them. So the game takes a little longer than you thought. If everyone's having fun, who cares?
Yeah, always a good way to go.
Yeah.
All right. That's all the time that we have.
Yeah, I figured, like, once I pulled that question, I was like, that's the last question of the day.
Yeah, that ate the rest of the time.
Yep, so that's all for us today. We hope you have a wonderful Sunday and that your adventures are good and fun.
Thank you for joining us. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe below and click the little bell so that you get notifications.
Yep.
If you'd like to ask us questions, if you'd like to berate us, if you'd like to tell us how smart or stupid we are, please leave those comments below. We will definitely read them, and we may even put them on our channel. If you have questions that you want us to put in the box, put them below.
By all means.
We will add them to the box, or maybe the dice bag if we
If we
can
ever get
come
one.
up with.
I like the pink
Come
box.
up with one.
That'd be
But again,
dazzling.
thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.